Okay. Hi. So let's just start like we always do. Let's just let the dust settle. Just kind of sink into the room around us. And just get in touch with the rhythm of your breath. In these moments, we are basically calling ourselves home. Parts of you are scattered throughout your day. We have busy lives and we emote all over the walls of those lives and leave parts of ourself behind. And when you just sink into the room, bring your awareness of your breath back into this room, it actually kind of pulls a lot of those left behind pieces back into this moment. So just breathe. And now just become aware of the speed of the rhythm of your body. Just become aware of the pulsing of your body. And through that awareness, just watch it slow itself down. You don't have to slow it down. Just watch as it slows down. That should be enough. You should be starting to feel things on the periphery slowing down, finding a little more stillness. And we're going to really let that stillness in now by formally entering meditation. For anyone watching this as a video for the first time, when we meditate in this class, we're watching the breath. So you place your attention high in your body, right here around the forehead and crown. You keep your eyes open, let them fall to a spot on the floor or somewhere in front of you, just to get them out of the way. And then you're going to give your attention to your breath. As you breathe in, you're right there with that inhale, feeling your lungs expand, feeling your skin stretch hearing the sound of your breath, really paying attention. On the exhale, you ride that breath all the way down, 100% with the breath. You choose to give your attention to the breath. And when the mind comes in to try and take you away from your chosen point of focus, you just simply return to the breath, return to the breath, over and over again. And you'll notice the mind slowly dies down because you're not feeding it with your attention. So let's do that now. Attention high in the body, forehead and crown, eyes open. Just begin to breathe. But give yourself wholeheartedly to your role as the watcher of the breath. talk a little bit. I feel drawn to talk to you tonight about energy, or what shamans would discuss in terms of personal power. You know, the reality of most people's lives is that there are finite amounts of energy at your disposal to get anything done. In a lot of New Age circles, we talk about energy like it's infinite, and, you know, on one level there's truth to that. You know, you can become a conduit for the energy outside of your physical body, and then that changes things a little bit. But as far as the basic willpower that it takes to get through your day, that stuff's finite. We know that. That's been studied at this point. You know, the decisions that you make actually use up willpower. And everything that you endure uses up willpower. It all uses up that reserve that you wake up with every day to manage your life, to manage your emotions, to manage your actions. And that's, you know, the central point where you can actually impact life. You know, how do you feel? How do you act? What do you do? What do you say? What do you keep yourself from saying and doing? All of these things are the levers through which you can grow, evolve, or de-evolve. When you meditate and when you attend a class like this, at the end of the class, you usually feel pretty different, or at the end of your meditation session, you usually feel pretty different. You know, you're able to let go of things that you weren't able to let go of. And so people often find that they sleep much better afterwards because their energy is just moving differently and they're not hanging on to some of the same things that they came in with. But there's more than that. You know, when you're sitting in meditation, you can feel an energy flow start to kind of build in your body. Sometimes it almost feels like there's a static electricity or even a heaviness on your skin as energy just starts to sort of collect around you. Everyone feels it a little differently. We have places in our body that energy naturally stores. One of those places is down just a little bit below the navel and back into the body. That's a lower center where usually that's the initial storage site for the energy that we're taking in. It's kind of like a little ball down there. And you can feel it. Even when you're keeping your attention high in your body, that actually helps you become aware of that flow of energy. And one thing that you'll start to become aware of, if you just kind of give it a little attention, you'll just start to notice kind of energy. It feels a little bit like wind, just kind of swirls its way down to that lower center, and you just start to feel more stable. Stability is a gift of the stillness. But whether you increase that energy through meditation, or you just roll with what you have from whatever night's sleep you got, and, you know, everybody meditates in their sleep. At one point, you know, you enter into absolute depth of stillness. And that's what keeps your body going. But when you wake up, you've got a certain amount of energy. And whether you have extra from meditating or not, whatever you do have is finite. And you're going to go through a day and you're going to live out that day. And I think what I want to talk about tonight is just the thriftiness of how you spend that energy. You know, energy is not good or bad. It's only worth what you spend it on. But if you don't have enough of it, you really don't have that much control over your life or your feelings. When we've all experienced that, when we're just finally spent, suddenly someone who's being annoying in our life, we snap at them because we just don't have that restraint anymore to hold ourselves back. But so this energy, it's precious, right? And it's a lot easier to lose than it is to gain. It builds up through a daily practice, very slowly, one drop at a time. You'll feel a bunch of it come in and that'll clean you out, but only a portion of that stores. It'll store in that lower center, it'll store in other little spaces in your body, it'll store in your bones. But it doesn't all just automatically store. Most of it comes and then it goes, just like taking a shower. But some of it stays. And if you work on it every single day and you're thrifty with your energy, you can slowly build that reserve. And the more you do that, the things that just looked so difficult to you actually start to look really doable because you just have more energy available to you. So I understand a lot of you have busy lives. Some of you are, working hard on farms. Some of you are working hard on kids. We all have our thing. And those things spend energy. But you have to find a way to get through your life without hemorrhaging energy over every little thing. The cycle for most people is things start to go wrong because they don't have enough energy to begin with. And so they are holding on to all sorts of problems. And then because they can't see the road out of it, they're freaking out about those problems. And so one problem can actually, it's just a gift that keeps on giving. It just hemorrhages day after day after day. Okay? So that's the sort of stuff we have to stop. And the way you stop that, there's a few ways. One, you have to decide at the beginning of the day, I am not going to spend energy on things that energy does not improve, right? Most of the things that we leak all of our energy out over are gripes that, frankly, draining yourself of energy is not the solution to that problem, right? It's things like we're upset with somebody, or we're scared of something that might happen, or, we're just trying to make some change that isn't happening, and so we're frustrated. Hemorrhaging that energy doesn't fix that problem. All it does is make it harder for you to ever get to a point where you can see a solution. It drains you. And so there's this kind of strong decision you have to make at the beginning of the day. And this is spiritual warriorship, is what we call this. It's a shaman idea. But at the beginning of the day, you have to actually decide, I'm not giving all my energy to that. I'm not going to let this person who I don't even like take all my energy from me today. They can be them. I'm not giving them that. I'm not going to spin in my mind over it. I am not going to feel absolutely awful about it for any period of time in my day. I'm going to just ask myself, is there something I can do about this right now? And if there isn't, I'm going to look in another direction. I'm not going to let this thing that I'm scared of take all my energy today. This thing that I think might happen or is happening, I'm not going to let that, force me to hemorrhage all of my energy today. If I have to have this problem for a while, I am going to be a person with a problem who is contained and charging and feeling better every moment. You have to make these decisions, and they're deep decisions. This is not a surfacey thing. It really happens in that moment when you look up and you realize this isn't working. What I'm doing isn't working. I'm not feeling better. I don't feel optimistic about what comes next because I'm exhausted. When you've hit that point, that's a point of power. That's the bottom of the pool. You actually can touch that and use it to spring back up. And it's okay. That's life, right? Life is always going like this. So don't sweat it. Don't beat yourself up over it. Just make a decision. First thing every morning, you're going to make a decision. I'm not giving my energy to that today. I am not going to hemorrhage my energy unless I can see exactly what that serves. And in almost every human's life, it does them no good. When would you hemorrhage energy? If you found yourself up against a wall, maybe, where you had a major project that needed to be done by dawn, then maybe you would allow yourself to go ahead and get spent, and then you would take a day to recover. If you had to lift a car off of a person, maybe then you might decide to hemorrhage some energy, But it's about deciding that I'm going to be really careful. I'm going to be really thrifty with this thing that is so, after the age of 30 is just so hard to accumulate. Life doesn't do us much of a favor by giving us all that energy when we're young, because it trains us in our formative years that we can just squander energy. But after a certain age, that's just not the truth anymore. After a certain age, we have to really contain. And I would say anybody who is actually working spiritually, actually working to improve their consciousness and improve how they feel, shouldn't just be maintaining their energy. They should be building it every single day. They should be actually taking in more than they let out. In the beginning of that realization, you'll still be letting out more than you're taking in for the most part. You'll get some back when you go to sleep at night, and that's a big help. But it takes some time to really recognize all the asinine ways in which you spend yourself. It just takes time. But when you see that, you have to start intercepting it. So the original way that I was taught to do that is that basically whenever you catch yourself about to get triggered in a way, and that's what triggering is. When you get triggered by somebody, that's really what that means is I use this person as an excuse to start spending a bunch of stupid energy. That's what being triggered is. And we're all prone to being triggered. But the way that you deactivate those triggers, originally what I was taught, was that as those triggers come up, you shift into the meditative state. So let's say you just caught yourself about to get upset. There's just a little twinge now in your solar plexus, and you are about to start spinning in a way you've spun a million times before. Before you can even get to that point where you're throwing your energy away, you just take this seriously enough that you shift. You place your attention at your forehead and crown, and you shift wholeheartedly into your breath. Maybe even tightly for the first few moments, which is not good for meditation, but it might be necessary to use a little force to pull yourself out of that familiar pattern into this healthier pattern. Now, since then, I learned tapping, EFT tapping. And tapping is a way when you can actually identify what those triggers are, you can literally start deactivating them very, very quickly. So when you use the first technique, you are making a solid choice to shift to something else. And I think it's important to practice that because it's important to exercise choice that way. And the way that works then is slowly over time, the kind of pathways in your brain that are so well trodden, that are so easily triggered, start to unwork themselves a little bit. Tapping is a little different. What tapping does is it takes that pathway, but it removes the fear response from a part of your brain called the amygdala. So the amygdala is a part of your brain that whenever you are in trauma or you are afraid or you are upset, this point starts activating. This amygdala starts activating. With tapping, what we do is we actually deactivate the amygdala while standing in the face of our problem. And what that does is it actually releases that problem. Well, it releases the hold that problem has over us. The memory is still there, and you may know that you don't like a certain person or a way they act, but when you come in contact with it now, that amygdala doesn't get stimulated anymore. You may still choose to veer away from them, but you don't start dumping your energy out and reliving trauma. So I think that is the most intelligent approach. I think it's better than the approach I originally learned, even though the original approach worked well for me for a long time. Tapping gets it out quickly. So one thing I would like us to do is I would like us tonight to pull forward one of our triggers. Okay? So everybody's got something, whether it's a fear for your children, or a fear for your health, or a fear or an anger with a spouse, or an anger with someone you work with. We're going to actually guide you through a tapping with that. So the first thing I want you to do is take a moment, and I'm actually going to put you all on mute just so that you guys can speak out loud without making any noise. So mute all. Okay. So the way this works is I want you to first get in touch with a problem that you want to work out. So what is that thing? What is that fear or trauma or issue that you want to work on? Take a moment and just pick it. Pick it out. Make it the biggest one you've got. It's no match for this technique. Okay. So now I want you to really think about it. Go there. Go there and really just feel that trauma that you feel when you are triggered by that thing. Really just let it do its thing to your body a little bit, just so that you can get clear on its intensity level. And I want you to, if you can, I want you to open the chat, and I want you just to give me your intensity level on a scale of 1 to 10. You don't have to tell us what it is unless you want to. Just give me the intensity level. 1 to 10. Good. That's a good one. Perfect. Great. Okay. So we've got a 15. Okay, great. So now we're going to create a setup statement. You're going to start tapping right here on the side of your hand. So let's say, so you're going to say, even though I have this problem, and you're going to state the problem. All right, so let's say my problem is I'm scared of spiders. Even though I'm feeling this fear over spiders, I deeply and completely love and accept myself as I am. Okay, so now you. Even though, state your issue. State it clearly while tapping. I deeply and completely love and accept myself exactly as I am. Say it. We're going to do it again. Even though, state your issue. State it super specifically. What's so awful about it? What are you super afraid of? I deeply and completely love and accept myself exactly as I am. even though, state your problem. Go for it. Be as specific as you can. I deeply and completely love and accept myself as I am. Now come to the top of the head, right here, and start tapping. And just take 4 words, something close to that, that really encapsulates the feeling. If it's spiders for me, they're so black and oily. You know, whatever. What is it that is so triggering for you? Is it the arrogance on someone's face? Is it the memory of something that happened to a parent that you're afraid is going to happen to you? What is it? Okay, now come here. You're going to, right here at the edge of the eyebrows, you're going to start tapping and state that same reminder again. Short little reminder of what's so awful about this. Now you're going to do it again while tapping right here on the sides of the eyes. State what's so awful. Really connect with it. Under the eyes, right here. State what's so awful. Really connect with it. Stand right in front of it while tapping. Under the nose, right here. So in between the nose and the lips. Restate your problem. Really connect with it. Really go there. Now under the lip, right in the crease between the chin and the lip. State your problem. Really connect with it. What's so awful about this? Okay, then under the collarbones, so here's the sternum, and if you come out just a little, under the collarbone, put your fingers like this, and just start tapping. State your problem. Really get in touch with what's so painful about this, what's so awful about this. Then you're going to come out to the sides of the ribs. You can go like this or like this, but you're hitting right where a bra strap would cross if you're a woman. State your problem. Really connect with it. Okay. Now take a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Now try to connect with that problem again. And I want you to ask yourself, what's your intensity right now? This is round 1. We'll do another round, but let's check in. Scale of 1 to 10. What is your intensity right now in this moment as you connect with that problem? Good. One of you is down to a 3 already. And one of you is down by 3. Okay. Good. So now we're going to go in again. But when we go in, I want you to think of some sensory aspect that is so disturbing about that problem. And it might be a memory. It might be like something happened or you received some news, and everybody programs that into themselves differently. So some people, it will be just the way the light was shining off the tile when a doctor was giving them advice. Or maybe it's just the tone of somebody's voice. Or maybe it's something they were smelling. There are different things. Like, what do you remember most about the circumstances surrounding that problem? What senses were most involved? Take just a moment and think about that. And if you're not able to come up with anything, then I want you to ask yourself where you feel the problem in your body. Where in your body is this problem? Hearing. Good. Snarky tone of voice. Good. That one gets me too. So, with that, you're going to be creating statements like, even though they spoke in this snarky tone of voice, and then maybe you would describe it even a little more, although that's a veteran tapper there. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. If it's hearing, what did you hear? Really describe it. And what you're going to find is that is actually the most effective way to tap. It gets right at how it's encoded in the nervous system, and it just removes the charge off of it. So let's go back to that right now. And we're going to start tapping again on the side of the hand. Even though, state your experience. State it really, really clearly. Using the senses, if you can. I deeply and completely love and accept myself exactly as I am. Even though, state it again. Really try and connect with it. I deeply and completely love and accept myself exactly as I am. Even though, state it again. And if you have any fears around it, honestly state those fears. Everybody's muted. Go for it. I deeply and completely love and accept myself exactly as I am. Let's do it one more time. Use this one to really hone in on the feeling. Even though, state your situation. Wholeheartedly go there. I deeply and completely love and accept myself exactly as I am. Now just find a few short words to describe it as we tap on the top of the head. Describe what you're experienced. What is the pain of what you're feeling? What is that trauma? Eyebrow point. Go for it. State your reminder. Connect with your problem. Side of the eyes. State your reminder. Connect with your problem. Under the eyes, state your reminder. Connect with your problem. Under the nose, state your reminder. Connect with your problem. Under the lips, state your reminder. Connect with your problem. Collarbone points, state your reminder. Connect with your problem. Side of the ribs, state your reminder. Really go there. Connect with your problem. Deep inhale through the nose and really just let go through the mouth as you exhale. Now take just a moment and let things settle. Connect with your problem. Where is your level of distress? Where's your stress level, 1 to 10? Good. Good. So think about how non-toxic that is compared to half of the things people do to deal with their anxiety. And that's something that, you could continue to work on tonight after the class. It's not hard. We have a lot of free resources on bodymindtapping.com that you can use. There's a whole EFT for anxiety guide that has multiple videos that teach you how to really go deep with that. When you're guiding a group of people, you do kind of a general session, but it teaches you how to get really specific and just with laser focus to get in at your problem. Also, you're welcome to work with me. I do take clients on. But the point is, and the reason we're doing this, is we need you to stop hemorrhaging energy. And when you harbor these heavily charged issues, then your energy body is like a minefield. And if someone just pushes the wrong thing, you are going to start spilling out all your energy and you're going to feel awful by the end of the day. Now, someone has a question. It looks like, in terms of spending positive energy, what is the difference between creating and manipulating? Like, if there is something you really want and you are really working hard for it, how do you manifest that in a holistic way without just manipulating, pushing energy? Okay. So if there's something that you really want, you first have to understand that you don't ever have the right to insist somebody else want it. So if it's something you really want, you have to find the circumstances where planting that seed is going to be done in fertile ground. So you pick what your environment for where you're going to do this work carefully. So if you plant a seed in the wrong soil, if it's people that are, if I went around trying to teach meditation to a bunch of people who have no interest in it, I would spend all of my energy. There'd be very little return. At the end of a class like this, you guys leave grateful most of the time, and that's an energy that comes back to me. So the energy that's put out is just in a circle because it becomes mutually beneficial. I get to be cleaned by having that flow through me. You get to receive by having it flow to you and learning different ways to cultivate it inside of yourself. And I get to receive just in the gratitude that comes back from students. But if I were to go around and just knock on people's doors and try and convince them that they need this, that would be very different, right? I'd be casting those seeds on infertile soil. And so there wouldn't be a positive loop. There'd be a bunch of people who are feeling manipulated. So it really does come down to just picking your audience very carefully, or letting your audience pick you, as is the case with this class. If you do that, then you're going to have the least amount of friction, which means the least amount of energy loss. But that doesn't mean if you're building something big that you aren't going to have times where you overspend. But if you're paying attention, if you are meditating every day and you've got your eyes open, what you are going to find is that you're aware when you've gone past your limit. And in those times that you have to actually take a little time off and let that replenish. That can look a lot of different ways. For me, now I try and do that like within the same day. Maybe I'll take a few hours to just kind of let that energy flow back in and not let it get below a certain point, because then I hate my life when it gets below a certain point, and so do you. In the past, though, when I was just so crazy busy that I couldn't do that, I would have time in between busy semesters of school where I would just go ahead and let myself have a little nervous breakdown and take about 5 days to just let the pendulum swing back to normal. But I knew I needed that, and so I gave it to myself. I was aware that I was spending this energy. But most people are spending it, I don't have a problem with that. You're here to use your life force, okay? You're not here to sit on a log. But what most people are doing is they're spending it on things that don't get anything done. When they're done, they don't have a degree to show for it. They don't have money to show for it. They just have their exhaustion. And they haven't solved any problem or talked out any of the things that they need to. So wherever you can remove friction in your life, that is going to help you move forward without spending all of your energy. And so something like EFT tapping removes that friction. It removes frictions that you have had with you your entire life. And there's so much you can do on your own. And when you run into things you can't do on your own, come pay me and I'll work with you. But one way or another, you have a lot of resources just on the website alone for how to begin addressing this. And you should. I think you should be tapping every single day. One of you is asking, will this recording be available on the website? I'd like to go back and redo it. Absolutely. So it's totally available on the website, but also I would highly recommend that you go to the main website, bodymindtapping.com, and scroll down and look for the free guides. And what you'll see is an EFT for anxiety page that will come up, and it's just got several videos that just take you deeper and deeper into this, and they have guided tapping on it as well. So I highly recommend that, especially if you're dealing with anxiety, insomnia, anything like that. It's incredibly valuable to just really learn how to do this right and go deep with it. But yes, this meditation will be posted. So just to bring us back home, what we're talking about is, because it is so difficult to accumulate energy, and because it is so easy to spend energy, it spends much faster than it accumulates. We need to find ways to conserve our personal power so that we always know where we're spending it and why, and so that we don't just hemorrhage it over useless things, over problems that just don't even exist. Maybe they'll exist in the future, but they're not happening now. Or maybe they existed in the past, but they're not happening now. Right now the moon is out and the wind is blowing through the trees and nobody's getting at you. You're able to sit in a meditation class. And yet for so many of us, our anxiety from those moments that aren't even happening right now come into that present moment. And so we're constantly spending. This class tonight is about getting control over our spending. Because when you are filled with energy, you're more comfortable. You just are. And in that comfort, you actually have the ability to make better decisions. You have the ability to act in new ways. I think most of us, when we get around to working on ourselves, it's after we've spent all of ourself on everyone else. And that has to stop. And so the main thing we told you to do at the beginning of this class is that you need to wake up every single day and make a choice. And that choice is something like, I'm not spending my energy on that today. I'm not spending any energy on this ridiculous person today. I am not hemorrhaging my energy over my job today. Maybe I have a job that I don't like that I'm going to go to today, but I'm not going to spend the day thinking about how much I hate my job. Because if I do, then when my job is finally over and it's time for me to live my life in the evening, I'm not going to have any energy to live it. So I'm going to drop all of those stories that I have. And I'm going to just live my life choosing where I place my energy. I feel like that probably should make a lot of sense. Does anyone have any questions about it, though? I want to make sure it's crystal clear. And you're welcome to unmute yourself if you want to ask them. Okay. So I've talked a lot tonight, and you've tapped a lot tonight. So I'd like us to go back in the meditation now, just till the end of the session. If a question comes up while you're sitting there, feel free to put it in the chat, and we'll talk about it before the end of the session. Okay. Meditation is the ultimate conservation of your energy. In fact, you have energy coming in. So as you're sitting here, just pay attention to that gentle influx of energy. Feel it sinking down to the place in your gut just below your navel, storing as a little ball of energy in that area. Just be aware of it. Nothing to force, nothing to make happen. And if you're not aware of it, just be aware that you're not spending energy. You're just breathing in, breathing out, and nothing else. Okay, go for it. Okay, guys. I want to put the link for the EFT for Anxiety page in the chat just so that you can easily find it. Oh. So this is a pretty comprehensive page I put together, teaching this specifically for anxiety. So those of you who are dealing with those issues, I would highly recommend you bookmark that and just work your way through it. Really learn how to do this. If there aren't any other questions, I think I will let you get back to your lives. All right, everybody. I'll be here again next week. Pleasure as always working with you. Have a great night. Thank you.